So with regards to earning a living, they said it's obligatory to earn enough sustenance for oneself, one's dependents, and enough to cover one's debts. Right, so for oneself, meaning that you're at least able to, that obviously you're going to keep yourself alive, right? That would be the first step. That would stop you from having to beg, and additionally that you would be able to pray the salat standing. Right? If you have enough food that you can pray the salat standing, then that's the bare minimum. Because if you're so hungry that you have to sit down to pray because you can't stand, then you're taking away from your religious relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's recommended to go beyond that, such that a person has a bit of independence and they are not needy of others. Right? So that would be a recommended level. The Prophet ﷺ said that people are all dependents of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the most beloved of them to Him subhanahu wa ta'ala are those who are most beneficial to His dependents, those who benefit others. So it's recommended to get to a level that we can not only take care of ourselves, but we can support the poor, we can support the needy, we can support the downtrodden in our communities. Permissible would be that which is beyond the recommended level, which is additional pleasures, additional comforts, some things that are just nice to have, a little bit of luxuries here and there. But then we get to the other side, where there's a type of discouragement involved. So the scholars, they mention it's prohibitively disliked to amass wealth for the reason of boasting and showing off or the like. And the Prophet ﷺ said, "Man talaba ad-dunya mufakhiran mukathiran laqiya Allah ta'ala wa huwa alayhi ghadban." Whoever seeks worldly possessions or wealth, right, for boasting and to amass, just merely to amass wealth, then they will meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala while He is angry with them. Right. So the difference is not the amount of wealth; it's the intention here. So it doesn't say that it's disliked to amass more than the need. No, it's right. The amount is not the question at all. The intention is that question here, and then obviously prohibition would be right on that line as well. Tamam. Now, as for employment and work and earning a living. In the sacred law, that work in general is inherently permissible. Right? The basis is, again, permissibility, and most types of work in most developed countries are permissible. Right? So majority of the options out there for employment are in themselves are permissible, but there are some things to look out for. Right. Now, obviously, we can go into this in many details, the type of work, right, the amount of work, what exactly is one's role in the bigger scheme of the company, and so forth. But essentially, permissible work, or permissible means of living, is that which avoids that which is haram, right, according to the letter of the law. So if a person's job avoids the haram actions, then that job is permissible. Now, but there's a difference between a permissible job and a praiseworthy job, a permissible work and a praiseworthy work. And we're always, with our circumstances and with our difficulties, we're always trying to raise that bar and get to a higher level. So permissible work means it just avoids the prohibited. Right? There's no prohibitive act in that job, then it's permissible. But praiseworthy work, right, is that which promotes the good, it benefits others, it avoids all prohibited elements, obviously, and it doesn't assist in any sin at all. It doesn't assist in any sin at all. Right. So one of the elements that we will talk about in this session is direct assistance in the haram and indirect assistance in the haram. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَلَا تَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْإِثْمِ وَالْعُدْوَانِ. Do not assist each other in sin or in enmity. So a job that directly assists in the haram is haram itself, as we will see. So a job that promotes the good, whether that be a worldly good or a religious good. It doesn't have to only be a religious good. It can be helping people find housing. It could be anything in a worldly sense or in a religious sense. Now, this is recommended. And throughout Islamic history, much of the spread of Islam was because of praiseworthy work. We think of the spread of Islam, the people on pulpits saying, everyone say La ilaha illallah, right? In this real kind of romantic ideal of da'wah. But most of the da'wah we may not even have heard of, right, throughout history, because it wasn't that epic. It was just really good character and business traders. And one of the greatest examples of this is the Nusantara area, the Sumatra, the Southeast Asia, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, as well as some of South India as well. Many of the traders from Hadramaut, from South Yemen, would take the routes to Southeast Asia, and they would establish themselves there. And because of their beautiful character, and some of what we're going to talk about today, in comparison to what we find in the markets today, is almost miraculous. It's a break in the norm. People look at it and it's like, what are you doing? And we'll look at that, and this is still thriving in many Muslim countries. This beautiful prophetic character in business, and many people just became Muslim. Like, I want to be like you, right? I don't want to be like all these other people trying to cheat me and everything. I want to be whatever you have. I don't know what it is, but I want to know what you have, right? And that was one of the greatest da'was of all time, and hundreds of thousands of people. And if you ask what is the most dense Muslim population country in the world, right? Indonesia. Right? And where did that start? Business traders, right? With beautiful character, right? So these are the types of employment or jobs that really are the ideal that we hope for, but at the least we aim for that which is permissible. Tamam.